And welcome everybody to another episode of Mac Yak number 162. So how's everybody doing tonight?
Good.
And if you look down in that corner down there, you see we got a guest on tonight, and that would be Dan from the Canadian Computer Collection. Something like that. So say hi.
Computer Collections in Canada. How you doing, folks? I am a Canadian computer collector. I'm just like you, you know. I like Mozilla, Java, Minecraft, and chocolate chip cookies with a chewy center. I've also definitely never killed anyone, so good to be here.
We might just get along.
Can I just put myself down for crunchy center cookies? I'm just don't like the chewy center. So,
are you one of those monsters that eats dad's cookies? Because that's not happening.
What the hell is dad's cookies?
Something.
I think my connection's having trouble. 1 second.
Dan is off killing a man to make sure his internet.
He's one of those Wi-Fi people.
Oh, he's another Groody. Oh,
yeah.
No, he has an excuse though, because if he puts an Ethernet wire across the room, I'm sure the cat will just eat right through it.
All right, I think I left torrents on.
Stop downloading that porn for a second, you know.
Well, man's got to live, you know.
Yeah, it's true.
All right. So, anybody do anything interesting this week? I think
been
Bruce, you went
watching
live
things.
last night, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. I mean, that whole thing about define interesting. So I did a little live stream last night. I just had some repairs to do, and so I thought, yep, I'll just switch on the go button, and it's quite good. Had a few people that visited for the first time, so that was nice. They're probably people that found out about me through the whole Flux saga, but I think that's a topic for later on in the show, so we can talk about that later on.
Yep. Steve, and I think you got something new, didn't you?
Yes, I'm on my Mac Studio now. It's fancy.
Ooh.
It's fast, and a lot.
That's why you look taller.
No.
He's sitting on it. He's sitting.
Yeah,
on it.
it's a nice chair booster for the short people like me. But you know, one of the apps that I use to adjust the settings of the camera does not work in this version of Mac OS. So yay! So I have a nice pale complexion. But anyway, yeah, it works well. I haven't had really much trouble with it. I think one of my USB hubs is dying, but that's not the fault of the computer, I don't think. I am waiting for Apple to resolve a support case I have opened with them until I do a video about this, because I'll stop. I'll just go on a rant. But anyway, I've been up to playing around with machines. I did 2 videos in rapid fire, an iMac G4 video and an iMac Intel video, which seem to do pretty well. They're like my highest performing videos in like a year, which scares me. So
That look, I don't want to take anything away from you, but you are a regular releaser of quality, relevant content to your channel. So
prolific, Steve.
Quality.
When this, sort of pre-recorded content, obviously the live streams are fun, but at the end of the day, this sort of this video just performs so incredibly well. And do you know why? I'd love to know what the recipe was, because I watched it and it's good, but so were a lot of your other videos.
the recipe was sitting in front of the table, recording for like 3 hours on the camera, and then somehow editing it down to be like 30 minutes.
Okay.
There's a lot of pain involved. I think pain translates to viewers somehow. I don't know how the internet works, but it's very, very sad and scary.
Congrats, well done.
Well, that's good.
If there's anything the internet likes, it's suffering and videos of ladies exercising.
That's the market I have to break into.
Yeah.
So I was telling Dan before the show, I don't know if I'll be able to conjure up something for this week, but fingers crossed. We'll see if I break that streak.
I have faith in you.
Steve will just do like a 1 hour video of him shouting.
Why
Not
won't
words.
you boot? Yeah,
Just the sound.
Yep.
So that's what I've been up to.
All right. How about you, Jay? You been up to anything?
Oh yeah, man. Lots of content. Just not mine. I've been watching other people stream and release videos. Last night I had a blast. I just finished fixing my internet issues and sat down, watched Bruce stream, downing Baileys like it was a bad habit, and I got nice buzz going on. I was trolling everybody in his live chat, and then I fell asleep. So that was fun. I hope to do it again soon. But yeah, it's been a busy week. A lot of prep work for this new job. I'm hoping to land soon. So today I have my final interview. So now I'm just so relaxed and stress free that I'm ready to fall asleep. So hopefully I
There you
stay
go.
awake.
So Bruce, did you wonder if Jay had like passed away on you there when he's just when?
This was the funny thing. I mean, he was basically nagging me to do a stream, and so he's like, "When's it happening? When's it happening?" And I'm like, "I'm just finishing a cup of coffee, and then I'm going to go straight down to the live stream." I go down and do the live stream, start it up. He's nowhere to be seen. It's like, what is this? Some sort of sick joke? You're just sort of playing on me here. So
It's ghosting you.
yeah, and then sort of then I got this sort of message through that his internet had gone down. So I was like, okay, fair enough.
I'm in the basement talking this lady through how to fix my internet issues, even though she works for the damn company. Said, forget about my router, forget about my switch, forget about everything. Can you see the modem online? That's all you need. Oh, well,
Yeah.
if you disconnect, no. I have a live stream to get to. Can you see my modem online? No, we cannot. And obviously, it's not an issue with my network, is it?
It's an
Send
issue with
someone
your
out now.
network.
So, but yeah, it was fun.
I love when you call those folks up and the first like recording is like, do you know you could access our services online? It's like, I
Online.
would if I could.
Okay, you know what drives me absolutely nuts about those tech support calls is when you phone in, they tell you, did you know turning off your modem for 5 or 10 minutes at a time can solve most issues? Yes, that's true. So you do that. And if you're a person with any experience of this, you do all of those steps in advance
Before
of
you
calling
even
them.
call, yeah.
Exactly. And then when you call them, they're like, okay, please unplug your modem. And you're like,
Already
I
did
already did that. And they're like, yeah, you have to do it with me so I can guarantee that it's been done. I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, that's good. I wasted like 45 minutes before this phone call trying everything. Like,
That's when you
Why
just sit
even
there and
bother?
say, okay, I need level 2 tech support, not level 1 anymore. 'cause
That's the
Old
first thing I
priest
want to
and a
say
young priest.
before the person on the other end, and as friendly as they might be, the first thing I don't want to know your name. Just patch me through to whoever you work for, and then ask them to patch me through to their boss. But I don't want to be that guy, so I just deal with it for an hour.
I just lied to them. Hey, can you switch your modem off, please? Yep, done that.
Oh yeah, I don't actually do
yeah.
anything.
Oh, I do the same thing. Yeah.
Can you switch it back on again now? Yep.
Already
No
did
worries.
that.
Okay, it's back on.
So
I
I
was
tried
Hey,
cleaning
it's
my
still not
distiller
working.
last night. Say, unplug your router. So okay, I did. It takes a minute to boot up while I'm cleaning stuff in the basement. Didn't do anything.
I
my
did that
phone.
once, and they were like, we could still see it on the network, and I'm like, no, it should be off. They're like, well, we're pinging it, and I'm like, ah, crap, I think.
Damn.
Hey, I like Chris Siebes' answer. I am level 1 tech support. Move me up the ladder, please.
Then why don't you have the extension, sir? I lost it.
Yeah. Going to be try to social engineer your way through the
Yeah.
tech support.
Well, I had to grab an outside line because of some issues down here.
Can you just go ahead and patch me through?
Look, this is the
Yeah,
president.
Spider's trying to eat me. Yeah, just hurry
Put the
up.
president of the internet on the phone.
Uh,
I think someone messed up on level 3. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
And what has Dan been up to? I see a lot of PC stuff. lately.
Yeah, you know what?
That's really disgusting. What's going on?
I understand. I understand that greatly. It's just, I've got so much stuff that isn't Apple that I haven't spent any time on yet. So I figured I would try. It looks like GT's pointing something. Is that a PC right there?
PC.
So yeah, like the last video I did actually broke a number of statistic records for me. The video itself was just me basically doing a deep clean on my daily driver PC and putting a video card in it and a couple of hard drives and stuff. And in the first day, it did like 1,200 views, and I got like 17 subs out of it in a day,
Wow.
which was shocking for me because I'm small potatoes, right? So a video like that, that comes out of the gate strong, you're like, oh, okay. But other than that, I've got a bunch of Commodore stuff that I want to go through. I got a box full of just Commodore junk back here, and what is there? It's like a trackball and all this stuff. But yeah, I've been buying lots of machines, and I haven't done any videos of intakes or anything. So I'm taking a couple days off. I'm gonna do a 5-day Easter weekend, and on the Monday and Tuesday, I'm gonna shoot a bunch of content by myself, and then tomorrow my brother's coming by and we're going to shoot some as well. So lots of stuff on the back burner that we're hopefully going to move to the front. Yeah,
I went to Reddit, like some kind of dark web branch where secrets and rumors roam, and I heard something about a Canadian computer collector learning how to solder.
That's right. Yes. So Bruce and Steve are going to be joining me Saturday this week as they teach me to live stream, or not to live stream, to solder on a live stream.
That too.
Yeah. But yeah, we're gonna go through the trials and tribulations of me learning to solder. I've got a little practice board. I've got a few other little things that we're going to try and work on. So that'll be exciting. And actually, I ordered some UV lights. So the whole package of what I wanted this channel to become is getting closer now, where I'll be able to do retro brighting and board repairs and all that kind of stuff. So really learning how to get it all done. And that's where I wanted it to go. So it's taken a couple of years, but...
So did you,
Here we
before
are.
you started this, and as you're buying equipment and stuff, did you ask those guys, like, hey, what should I buy?
I asked Bruce, actually. I said, give
Okay,
me,
so here's a test to see if these clowns are worth any. Did either one of them tell you to buy a fume extractor?
no.
Oh my
I think
God.
Bruce suggested it.
No, he has a window. He's fine.
A window and a fan. That's what I got.
During my live stream yesterday, someone put into the chat, because someone was obviously watching the live stream, and they put into the chat that their wife had just walked past and said, "Oh, this is the guy that makes you buy all those toys." So just letting everyone know that if you get into this hobby, it is a bottomless pit when it comes to buying equipment.
It's not the hobby; it's the content creators that do a similar hobby. Like I have 9 Kai Wheats multimeters stacked up on my desk, and I just keep buying more.
I want to say to the folks in the chat there that asked how close I was to 1,000, I'm at 910 right now. 900.
Oh, nice.
Woo!
Now, I will say, Dan, I'm
Almost
blaming
wasted.
my YouTube recommendations on you, because ever since I watched your PC cleaning video,
Oh,
nothing but like dust cleaning out of PC videos are being recommended to me on YouTube.
Cleaning stuff is where it's at.
It's
Like,
satisfying.
I have
It's
a few
really
videos
satisfying.
where I clean displays and stuff. They are up there. And I watched a video a week or 2 weeks ago about this dude cleaning carpets. I've been hooked ever since. Guys, cleaning carpets. Come on.
Yeah.
So,
Jay's easily
Those are
entertained.
amazing.
I am
Jay is
easily entertained.
easily
Yeah.
entertained.
You know what?
screw
You look at some of
screw the
those
logic
channels,
board up
though.
there. Just do the,
Like,
just do the
have you
carpet.
guys seen Taisai Restorations, like TYSY? The guy's got like,
so.
I think 1.8 million subs, and basically what he does is he's like, I'm going to restore, Famicom, and he'll pull it apart, de-rust all of the rusty pieces, retro-bright it, and just put it back together. You know what I think the hook is, though, for those channels is they don't talk and they leave all the sounds in. So it's kind of like an ASMR / satisfying
So your
restoration
part
video.
cleaning video should do good there, then, Jay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if I could just make content like that, I would. Because I suck at carrying on a conversation with the live. When I really get into something, I'm just quiet. So I might just do that. I will take one of my MacBook Pros, toss it in the grass, leave it there for a few weeks, bring it in and clean it.
Okay, so
That's
I have a
gotta be
theory.
nice.
I think those people like dirty up their hardware before they work on it. I think they purposely, because like sometimes they're like, "Oh, look at this Super Nintendo." I'm like, "Wow, did you find that like in Chernobyl, like by the Ferris wheel? Like it looks terrible."
Well, be careful what you wish for, Jay, because Vintage Hillbilly Shack sent me a box of rust, so I could send one of those over to you.
Yeah, but you paid for that. I would never do that.
I paid the shipping.
I think I'm supposed to be mailing Steve a box of dust, aren't I? From the keyboards.
Yeah. This,
All right.
this is what you do, Dan. You get one of your brand new, cases or whatever. Just fill it with dust and crap and cat hair, and then you just do a cleaning video once a week, and you make millions. There you go.
All right, guys. So let's go ahead and start getting ready, going on with the show here.
Yes.
What do you mean?
We're
We're
live?
totally going on with the show.
Yeah, we're not gonna make it on time again. So
Says you.
as we always do that. So, anyways, guys, first topic of the evening is Monterey, or not Monterey, but you can run System 7 on just about any Mac nowadays, thanks to an ingenious workaround. And that is basically a web browser version of, and I'm going to let somebody talk about it that knows more than I do about it. So whoever put that topic in.
Steve, did you do it, Steve? I didn't.
I think Dana put it in there. But
Okay.
essentially,
Either of us can talk about it.
yeah, I mean, I forget. Do you know what emulator it's based on, Bruce?
Nope.
Okay, well,
We came
why?
prepared, ladies
Well,
and gentlemen. We came prepared.
So there has been a few recent emulators. One that I have been using has been Macintosh.js.app, and this just basically takes that to the next level. So I actually have it open here in the. I'm going to share the screen so you guys can see it. Wait, is that it? Nope, wrong window. Hold on. There we go. So there we go. So this is an emulator at system7.app. A great web URL there, and. Oops! Do not do a Command W, because that makes the window go away. Hold on, let me bring it back up. That's the problem here when these emulators do not really bind keys. So I have to remove that at the end here. So when you're a Macintosh user that has been like using this stuff for ages, and then you go ahead and you try and do like a Command W or a Command Q, you end up closing your whole browser or the website. So, all right, there we go. We're back. So yeah, pretty neat emulator. You have access to System 7 or System 8, or Mac OS 8 rather, and it's fully functional. I think you can do some shares here. Yeah, so they do give you some tips here of how to drag and drop some things. I'm very upset that they mentioned Macintosh repository first, because first off, that's evil, and second off, Macintosh Garden comes first because Alphabet.
He's deleting it already. See?
But yeah, I mean, these are pretty neat, especially if you don't want to go through the hassle of setting up Basilisk or Sheepshaver, because those are not really intuitive for your first time user of vintage stuff. It can get really annoying trying to find the right ROM or configuring it. So if you just want to play around with an app or just dive into it, this might scratch that itch. Obviously, I haven't played around with these too much, but if you don't have a system that you can install something on, let's say it's an office machine or a school machine or something like that, but you just want to run some HyperCard programs, I mean, this probably might be the way to go then. So,
But Steve, now
The,
this is also available because you can't run Sheepshaver on a M1 Mac either. So this will run on an M1 Mac as well because it runs in the browser, correct?
well, I know there are beta versions of those that are in progress, but but this one runs in a browser. I'm on an M1 Mac now. So.
I mean, look, the fact is these emulators are just ridiculously convenient. You just basically launch your browser, you go in, it creates essentially like a guest environment for you. There are already a whole stack of applications pre-installed, games, things like that. They're already on there. You have the ability to transfer files in and out from them. I mean, it is really, really clever stuff. And I can potentially see this sort of thing maybe even taking over, the need for things like, Basilisk and Sheepshaver in the future, because they're just so cleverly done. So, yeah, I mean, I definitely congratulate them on this. These are fantastic.
Yeah, and the web apps of today are so responsive that, I've actually had emulators run slower than this web version does. So, and I'm just running it on Firefox here. But, yeah, really cool. And there is an OS 8 version. Let me just switch to that. I have to stop sharing my screen. I have to click share again. I have to go here. Blah, blah, blah. Is that the one? No. Is that the one? Yes. There we go. And we have a Mac OS 8.1. So there you go. So if you really like Mac OS 8.1 and you have to run an app that's only for that, you could do that, and you can have fun. And it has a control strip because Bruce loves the control strip. So there you go.
What's the question for you there, Steve?
Oh,
Can you load your own
my
game and stuff into it?
Yeah, there are the sticky notes goes over the procedure there of how to drag and drop things. Essentially, if it's like any emulator, you could mount some sort of network share or local share and just drag and drop things. This is like the first time I'm actually opening it for more than 5 seconds, but if I read verbatim the sticky, it says you can add additional files, simply drag and drop them onto this screen. They will appear in the downloads folder in the outside world network volume. So there you go.
So basically, it's the same.
We
as if you
could
download-
test it. We can test it. Here we go. You pushed me to this, GT. So if this
One of your
blows up
dirty
my
pictures
machine,
on the System 7.
yeah, let's put something silly on
So
here.
I'm assuming that you could also download, like you said, from Macintosh Garden straight to that emulator and run it straight from there too. Correct?
Let's see.
But the question is, does it save any files locally on your system, or every time you go to it, does it wipe it clean?
I probably just wipes it clean.
Let's
All right, so-
test Unreal Tournament.
I just dragged a .sit file to here. There it is, Mac Test Pro, and it doesn't have to.
Wah.
Stop explaining this.
Oh, come on. It must have Stuff Expander on there.
If it doesn't, I'm lodging a complaint to Star Command.
Yeah, I mean, come on.
I did Command W again.
Ah.
All gone. All gone.
Oh,
No,
this is
look, it is-
GP's fault. We will get to
The
it.
problem, I mean, Stuffit is something that is still being made, so it is, I suppose, possible that they weren't able to get permission to put it on there.
Not anymore.
But- Oh, really? It's not. It's all then.
They stopped last year or the year before.
Ah, piffle. Okay.
I think they were still doing updates to it. It's just not what it once
It's
was.
hard to believe that Stuffit was the main compression software on Macs for so many years, and then now is just this kind of old legacy thing.
Okay, let's try this one more time. I'm getting my hand
One more.
away from the keyboard.
It's not on there.
There it is.
Stuffit Expander. Yeah.
It's missing or was probably deleted. What are you talking about? Where? Okay. Open up utilities. Open up Stuffit Expander. Let's see. Dun, dun, dun.
Damn, look
There
at
it
that.
Okay, so
goes.
there are clearly some limitations here. You know what you need to do? You need to rebuild the desktop.
I knew you were going to say.
It would
Let's,
appear you're
let's-
stuffing it.
Let's zap the PRAM battery while we're at it.
Actually, I wonder if you launch it and you're holding down Option Command, whether it does ask you to rebuild the desktop.
I doubt it. Half the time, the emulators that I have on my desktop won't even respond to that crap. But this is a
while this is
live
happening,
unstuffing.
Can I just very quickly mention Sutek in the chat? Is your name a reference to Pyramids of Mars from Doctor Who? Pyramids of Mars from Doctor Who. So there you go. Question for Sutek.
That classic Mac OS, ladies and gentlemen. That's what we like to see.
Yeah. Okay. So
Fantastic.
there's still an argument for Sheepshaver and Basilisk, is there not?
Yeah, I'm going to hold down. What do you want me to hold down? Command,
Option and
Paste.
Command.
Option, command.
That was an impressively quick restart there, Steve.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's-
Didn't register it.
no, it's not. It's not doing anything. It won't. And it probably won't even register shift. Nope. Yeah, doesn't care.
Okay. Fair enough.
So
Oh,
it's not accepting any keyboard commands till actually is booted. Then I'm assuming.
Yeah, I'm sure there's some way to do preferences, or maybe not. You know, who knows? But
Yeah.
you guys play with it and tell us what we missed in 2 weeks.
Steve, you got to build your studio into a compact Mac now and just run that 24/7.
That's $2,500 well spent.
Hey, will that fit in that clear case you got?
It will fit in there. Why the hell would I put it in there? No, thank you.
If you shove that thing in a compact Mac, Steve Jobs, if he were alive still, would instantly urinate.
It's Johnny Ive is like breaking through my windows. trying to
It's
get
so
my-
fast.
It's too fast.
The pictures are coming out of the screen.
It's color. Oh my god. So yeah, that's one more
is very cool.
way to run emulated Mac stuff in your browser. And Dana, I hope you are laughing and giggling to yourself silly while you watch us fumble over the item that you put in there.
Hey,
Where is Dana, by the way? Anyways?
He should be here shortly. And speaking of people missing in action, Groody probably thinks it's Sunday. Mike is not feeling too hot, but he is with us in spirit.
Yep.
And Dana is working, so he will be here in about 10 minutes.
But Grudy has no excuse except that he probably
He has
thinks
an
it's
excuse. His internal calendar is syncing with iTools, and it's always messed up.
I think, yeah.
All right, guys. So next topic of the evening is Bruce has been
Yeah.
stirring up some trouble. So let's throw it over to Bruce here.
Yep. I'm just going to reply to. I'll just say it out loud now. Sutek, yes, you're right. That particular period in Doctor Who history with Tom Baker, they produced some of the best Doctor Who episodes ever. So there we go. Glad that's all sorted. This is Flux. And this is Flux. And this is Flux.
And that's
This is
Dan.
What's the flux is flux?
And this is Flux. And this is Flux.
Bruce is going to do the Flux challenge where he tries to swallow all of them at the same time.
This is all Flux.
My name
So-
is Bruce Wayne from Brangus Creations, and I
It
have
is-
a Flux addiction.
It is safe to say that my life has been in a state of flux lately. And
It's this guy Flux.
Okay, all right. Okay. Who gives a flux? Now,
We can go all night, folks. Don't encourage us, Sean.
we could. Let's stop. So, anyhow, basically, the situation is this: in soldering, I use flux. Flux is a really important thing. It's something that stops the oxidization of the flux while you're using it, which makes the flux flow better. And what's happened? What happened?
Nothing.
Stop it. So it helps the solder flow while you're working with it. It's a really important part, particularly if you're doing surface mount soldering. A good quality flux is really important. And these ones that come in the syringe, they're referred to as a tacky flux. They're sort of like a gel sort of substance that you stop it, everyone. Stop it. So anyhow, one of the fluxes which I have been using for several years now and was originally recommended to use it by Lewis Rossman when I used to watch his repair videos. He would basically always talk about a particular product, and it was not that one, this one, NC559 V2TF. Now, I recently ordered a replacement tube of this, and when it arrived, it didn't look right. It was dark. It's like this sort of was like a dark, almost like a honey color, and it had very different properties. It didn't glow under UV light, whereas the stuff that I normally glowed under UV light, and it smelt really different. It had quite a strong chemical smell. So I contacted them. I said, look, I don't know what's going on here. I don't know what I've been sold. Can you explain what's happening? And went through it a little bit of to and fro, and you can watch the video if you want the full details. But what had actually happened was a company called Ventec had apparently got hold of a whole bunch of flux formulas in 2014, and they started making these formulas, making these fluxes, and selling them under the brand name Amtech. And one of these formulas was called this V2. Now, V2 has this stuff called hydrobromic acid in it, which is quite hard to source and it's quite dangerous to work with. And what this company Inventec did, apparently, is because of the challenges that they faced in manufacturing, they simply stopped making V2 and started putting an easier to manufacture product. It's a product called ASM. So NC, it's in one of these here somewhere. One of them. They put this ASM product and just put a V2 label on it. And they've been doing that now for many years, 4 or 5 years. So what ended up happening was the Amazon distributor started looking for someone else to do. Hi, Dana. Started looking for someone else to do the fulfillment of the Amtech fluxes, and there was a new company that sort of set up Amtech Distribution, and they had all of the original people from the original Amtech, and they started manufacturing all of these fluxes with the correct formulas. And so all of a sudden, I ordered this product, and I get the right thing for the first time ever. And so I'm in this situation
What the
going,
hell is this?
yeah, I've got this stuff here, but I've actually got the right formula for the first time. So I investigated all this. I did a video on it, and I got loads and loads of views, and got lots of mentions in lots of different chats and stuff like that, because everyone was like, "Hey, look what's going on! Look what's going on!" And then I did a follow-up video of it recently because I had very, very good contact with these people at Amtech Manufacturing. They're really, really nice people and have been very sort of forthcoming with this information. And what they then also sent me was this, which is called Sample 88.
Whoa!
That
And
will
it
turn
is-
Bruce into a superhero.
Yeah, that's right.
It's not to be confused with Archive 81.
You saw that. So
The hole through your chest in 3 seconds flat.
So anyhow, this Sample 88 is their new formula. They've been modifying these formulas, improving them, and they've been making them safer. Because at the end of the day, a lot of these things use nasty chemicals in them, and they've made this one with better chemicals, less harmful chemicals. And this is going to be called NC559 V3 TF. So this is the next generation in fluxes, and I used this, used it a little bit before the last video that I did. And then I used it quite a bit yesterday. Yesterday was a little bit confusing in my live stream because I had so many tubes of flux next to me
no
that I
idea
ended
what
up.
you were using.
I had no idea. I just was reaching out, grabbing a tube of flux and squirting it on there, and it's like, oh, that's the V2, oh, that's ASM, So, but anyhow, so that's been a very interesting thing, because this was something where I inadvertently created quite a bit of sort of controversy and conflict, because there were a lot of people out there that were standing up for Inventec, so basically saying, oh, Inventec haven't done anything wrong, they're still selling genuine fluxes, they're there's everything's fine, I don't know what everyone's complaining about. And at the end of the day, Inventec have not been releasing counterfeit flux or fake flux or anything like that. This is what the word fake's been bandied around a lot. There are flake fluxes out. Flake. It was bound to happen.
I was going to say it was bound to happen.
Those do exist.
They are out
Where
there.
can I know that?
But the Inventec one is not fake. The main thing is that it was apparently a deception that they have, that they put a product A into a tubal labeled with product B, and that's essentially the difficult thing. Now, there's a limit to how much I can say about this, but it does appear that it has caused a massive stir within the Inventec company. And thus far, the only comment they've made about it is that that for everyone to be wary of fake fluxes on Amazon.
Boy, you said that slow.
Yeah, can
I
you
said that
speed that up a
damn
little?
slow.
Kind of
Damn slow. So so anyhow, that's pretty much the story. My videos are on my channel. They're in the featured videos. If anyone wants to go in and see the whole thing, it's been quite a roller coaster ride. But look, they really, as I say, the guys at Amtech, they got these samples out to me really, really quickly. And I got to try this stuff out and give them feedback and all that sort of stuff. I am going to be doing a flux review video in the future where I go in and compare fluxes, and that's going to be coming in the not too distant future. So anyhow, that's it from me.
Question, Bruce.
That's all?
Yes.
During your video, how many takes did you have to do when you screwed up like the very long name of the flux that you read like 50 times?
There were a couple of sentences in particular that I really struggled with. That I was just going, I've got all the outtakes if you want to see them. There was just some was like over and over and over again, because there were some pretty long things to wrap my tongue around, and because I had a bit of a frog in my throat that day as well, so I'm constantly sort of having to go and then go back and shoot it again. But so that was a fun old day.
I
But
was
anyhow,
expecting the video to be like, you have to order the Amtech AF jump cut, TF dash jump cut, AF2.
Yeah, but look, I mean, one thing that I can say about fluxes is that it is a personal thing. A flux that I like may not necessarily be the flux that someone else likes, and so just I when I do give a recommendation about something, I provide the information as to why I like it. That there are things about it that this is the reason why I use it, and then sort of people can draw their own conclusions as to whether they think that's something that will suit them or not. A lot of people, they use a particular flux and they absolutely swear by it, and I've tried it and I go, that's garbage, but that's just my opinion. That's just what I think.
It's no longer just your opinion. You are the flux authority now.
So oh yeah, that's right. Yep.
You're the president of Flux now.
I can tell you some of the worst ones out there, but anyhow.
Mother Flux.
The mother of Flux.
And I've got more coming too, by the way. So I essentially bought the original V2 Flux from Amtech. When I contacted them, they said, look, we are going to send you the ASM as a replacement for no extra charge. So they did that. And then they refunded me the money for my original purchase. And then I used that refunded money to go and buy some more. So I've got lots and lots of flux on the way. I mean, I've already got probably a dozen tubes now, and then I've got another 3 on the way. So, yeah.
I was going to say, some of it's going to expire before you get a chance to use it.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. I mean, seriously, unless it starts looking like this, it's still quite good even past the expiry date. So.
All right, guys. So, any more questions for Bruce before we move on?
Favorite color?
Probably blue.
Oh, I wonder why. We'll talk about that later.
With SCSI attached to it.
That's what I thought. Yeah. All right, guys. So, next topic of the evening is what is the Max Killer app in 2022?
I read that 5 times. I have no idea what that means.
Okay,
I know
Remember
exactly what
when
you're
the Mac, when the Mac first, or when the Apple first came out, when the Apple II first came out, the Killer app was a spreadsheet program.
Yeah, VisiCalc.
Yep, VisiCalc.
Yeah,
and
VisiCalc.
that actually is what sold the computers, because businesses would buy these because before they would do all the stuff by hand, and then they found out, oh, we could do this by computer. Wow.
Yeah.
The
Jobs had always believed that was necessary for product development. It had to be paired with a killer app so that there was a utility for the thing that they were making, right?
Yeah. So the general concept is that you release, if you have some hardware, the hardware will not sell unless there is a piece of software that goes with it that makes it worth buying the hardware. Forking out for the hardware. And that was the thing that happened to the Apple IIe, as GT mentioned, that here was this hardware and it could do all this stuff, but for a lot of people, they looked at it and they couldn't actually see a practical reason to buy the hardware. When something like VisiCalc came along and you had the ability to use a spreadsheet, people were like, that is worth me buying this piece of hardware. And then later on with the Macintosh, the killer app was kind of like graphic design. It was QuarkXPress, PageMaker, Illustrator, Photoshop. The later Macs, Macs during the sort of 80s and 90s, I should say late 80s, early 90s. During that time, it was all about graphic design. Graphic designers' preferred piece of hardware because all of the graphics software was available on the Macs. In time, they were available on PC, but to start off with, they were just on Mac. So that was kind of like the killer app of the Macs at that time. You would buy the hardware in order to do the graphic design. So the software was then doing the hardware. Now, if we look at it in more recent terms, something like the iPhone, if we talk about the iPhone, the killer app on the iPhone was Safari, in my opinion. Being able to properly browse the web on a phone was the killer feature of that phone. Yes, it did all sorts of other things. You could play games. It had an accelerometer. It had all that other stuff. But really, if you think about what was the feature that really made that a very marketable product, was the fact that you could properly browse the web on it, not like the phones prior to that. So that's what I consider to be the killer app. And when I talk about a killer app in 2022, it is more of a question, not even necessarily what is the killer app, but it's also, is there a killer app? Is that still a relevant concept in this day and age?
Sean mentioned it, and I was getting ready to say that. He said the killer app is Rosetta 2, and I think the only person here that can actually answer that, is it a killer app, Steve?
I haven't had to launch anything that was not M1 native yet.
Oh, okay, so you haven't tried any Intel apps yet?
The apps that I have launched, I don't really notice the difference between them, which speaks to the quality of that. But I will be completely honest with you. I've been using Final Cut Pro and Firefox on this machine for the past week, and that's it.
I was going to say, I think Final Cut Pro, even though it's been around, is actually kind of that killer app. It's like,
Yeah,
I would call it the 0.5 or the 0.75 killer app, because I use Adobe Premiere, and actually I have a lot of frustrations with it. I've been watching a lot of videos from video editors recently talking about how they've switched over to Final Cut, and on the M1, it's this amazing experience, and it renders really quickly, and that all sounds really great to me. And I've been thinking about it. Like, I don't need an M1 machine right now, but if there were a reason for me to get one, it would be to improve my video editing workflow.
Yeah,
for
I
sure.
will say my opinion on this is the apps that Apple used to call their iLife apps, iMovie and Photos and GarageBand and all that stuff. Those were the killer apps for the mid 2000s on the Mac,
Yeah.
because you would buy the Mac, it would come with the software, you would buy it, separately. Later on, it came bundled with it.
iMovie
And-
especially.
Yeah, and iMovie was like desktop video editing for free on your Mac, and that was like
Oh yeah,
iMovie 2 was with the iMac G3, and that blew everyone away.
I remember
I think-
GarageBand blew minds when I was
Yes,
young.
and that I will tell you, everybody in my school, they wanted a Mac just for GarageBand because it was so fun to play with. They all had
Mhm.
PCs. They didn't care about the Mac at all. In fact, one person had their parents buy them a Mac, or they borrowed their brother's Mac or whatever, and they're like, "Wait, how do I run Windows on it?" You don't.
Well, I would tell you what, GarageBand is usually the first app I delete off of a Mac.
Well, that's because you hate fun. But the
No, I'm not
iLife applications and the video editing, I think if you're a creative type, which most of the Mac community tends to be, that is what you're going to gravitate towards.
I think
But
Nick
I-
My
Lopez.
killer app used to be Mac OS, but now
Yeah.
today, if I had no computers and I would just be on the market for anything that would get me online,
Yeah,
there's nothing, putting biases aside, there's nothing that would sway me towards a Mac or a PC or anything.
I think we need
did
to.
Did they just say it wouldn't? What?
Yeah, no, I mean the Mac has nothing. There is no selling point for Mac. I'm in the
will say-
ecosystem, so I will continue to use and buy Mac. But if I was completely new to this, I would not look at a $3,000 cube and say, "Ooh, I need to have that," because
Yeah,
No,
I hear what you're saying. You'd
I
probably be
will-
one of the people at Best Buy who ends up with like a $500 HP laptop, and then they're like, "Mamma mia!"
Well, I think Apple has basically gone to this route of, it's more the hardware now than it is the software anymore. And if you look at the way they're going, everything's going to the M1 chip, and pretty soon it's probably going to be the M2 or whatever the heck they're going to call it next.
Yeah,
But,
Jay mentioned, I think it's the ecosystem. Maybe it's not necessarily an app anymore, but it's the Apple ecosystem.
Well, that's
Well,
like
I-
when you buy an iPhone, you're pretty much stuck with the Apple ecosystem. And if you switch over to Android, what do you got to do? You got to buy all those apps over again if
Okay.
you purchase.
I have an interesting point of view for this because before I started collecting vintage Apple, was very much in the PC Android ecosystem, and I've switched over almost entirely now, save for my desktop PC. I'm using a 2013 iMac to do this podcast right now, but I switched over from Android phones to an iPhone 11 was my very first iPhone, and like I said, I was looking at buying an M1 MacBook Air recently, because my work has this program, but it turned out I could just claim the cash and take the cash instead. So I did that. But like I'm actually really enjoying the switch. So when I used the Android phone, this may not be the same for everyone. It felt like I was using this device that was filled with bloatware. It was just a way for companies to get into my house. This feels like an actual small computer that has purpose-built apps, a lot of professional apps that come with it. And the ecosystem, to be honest, like I could take it or leave it. I think it's really cool that I can answer text messages on my desktop, but like at the end of the day, it's the hardware that I'm more interested in. And I have to admit though, that's because I've now, experienced Apple engineering as it was over the decades. And, I'm confident in where it will go, right? Like when I was an Android guy, I was like, oh, it's a cult, people only buy Apple because they have Apple, and then now I'm like, oh no, it's because they appreciate the engineering.
Well, now that we welcomed you into the cult, I think you've appreciated it. But I will say I just launched an iPad app on my Mac desktop to view the security cameras I have in the house. And I'm very happy because I forgot. I'm so used to things being so old that I can't run them. And when you guys are talking about killer apps, I'm like, wait, I think I can run iPad apps on this thing. And it launches like a regular app. And I'm like, holy crap, that's cool. So
That's the cool thing. Feature
I think
about
that's
the
pretty
M1
damn neat.
That is cool. That is
is
cool.
that you can run all that, which is why Apple's going that direction. I think they're trying to merge the two. And I think they're doing it a lot better than when Microsoft did, because remember, I don't know if you guys remember when Microsoft tried their first tablet, and it was like, basically they just took Windows XP and stuck it on a tablet and said, here, go for it.
I can hear Mike screaming from here.
Android tablets give me diarrhea. They're not good. I had an Asus ePad when that was a thing, and granted, it was a really gorgeous looking tablet. You know, it had like a textured black back and a chrome wrap around it and everything. It was super heavy and super slow and just a piece of junk. So
you know what the E stands
that's
for?
the thing with PCs is that I've always, going back to my earlier statement, if I was in the market today, I would probably still get a Mac just for the design. You know, I want solid aluminum, sturdy computer, not this plastic garbage that Windows computers have had since I can remember. You know,
I don't know why every like Windows laptop maker insists on cheap plastic.
I know why. It's cheap.
Are Chromebooks plastic? I don't know.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Okay.
They are the cheapest you could get, actually. In fact, they basically, I think at Best Buy, they sell them for a couple $100. And that's because they run Chrome OS, which is, to be honest with you, I've seen it, and
isn't that just an Android phone, basically?
It's not even Android. It's Chrome OS is just totally garbage. It's all basically you have to be online kind of to use it. But you can do some stuff offline, but it's
I mean, the whole concept with a Chromebook is you got a thin client. You got a terminal. Everything runs on the cloud.
Exactly.
Francois talking about ThinkPads. Those aren't, bad machines. I use some of them for work. I just traded in an older one for a newer one, and to be honest, I kind of like the new one. The only thing I find weird is that they're trying to do their own unique keyboard layout now too.
So Starbuck and Vintage or All Things DG said it's just a Chrome browser, pretty much is what Chrome OS is. So basically, it's whatever their browser is. So basically, it's almost like they're emulating an operating system in their browser. Then I'm assuming.
Yeah.
And I might be switching to Windows soon. I mean, this new job, they're going to send me a PC with like 6 monitors, and I might fall in love with Windows.
Somebody go over to Jay's
or
house,
something.
check his
Whatever
temperature.
version of Windows they're up to now, I might completely fall in love.
Wait, he's not like,
So
by
all my
saying that,
Macs.
Jay, do you have a Geiger counter in your office there? Can you check for radiation?
It exploded. It's weird.
There's a big flash of light, and then
It just went boom. Yeah.
It's amazing,
Welcome to Windows,
it's amazing
man.
what the promise of a regular paycheck will do to someone.
Yep. At some point, you're like, "Hey, I got a kid to feed. He's skinny enough as it is. I better get
I like Microsoft. Give me money.
was it from Silicon Valley when the douchey billionaire's like, when I saw that third comma roll in, I busted so fast I was legally blind for 30 seconds.
Great show.
Oh, Patrick says, "What, Jay? Are you sick?"
Yeah.
Let's just say for the amount of money they're gonna pay me, I'll give it a shot.
Jay, I think you should attract a lot of clicks on your YouTube channel and just be like switching to Windows and just be
Oh
like,
yeah,
That would be clickbait. Yeah.
there you go.
I'm good at clickbait.
I was going to say, fellas, I'm getting somewhat close to when I got a boogie, but I was wondering if we were still going to chat about the used or like the vintage markets.
As you're
Yes,
leaving, we are going to chat
I
about
would
it.
love to.
It was my understanding that we were actually going to start with that one. So
Oh, okay. Well, whatever.
Somebody
The
put
host didn't
it. Somebody
listen.
put it somebody put it the 4th bullet down. They didn't move it up to the
Or
top.
you can just tell the reason that you have to boogie to chill out and wait.
All right, guys. So we're going to go to the next topic so Dan can actually chat about it. But so we've been talking about this lately, but if you look on eBay and all these other sites and see a lot of the Facebook marketplace ads and stuff, you see a lot more vintage stuff coming up for sale and stuff. Why is that?
Batteries.
And I'm gonna go over to Dan.
Batteries explode.
So I think that it's a multifaceted answer. I think there are many reasons for this, but I think a big part of it is definitely the rise of vintage tech creators. I mean, this wasn't really in the minds of a lot of people until they started watching videos about it and learning about these things and spending more time on YouTube and all of that kind of stuff. And so that, I think, was what the initial bump would have been, like when stuff went from free to like $50. You know, like people are starting to watch it, they're starting to want it, they go, oh, that looks like fun, or I fix that up and maybe sell it and make some profit or whatever. And then I think after a couple of years of that, stuff started going from like $50 to $100, you know, and then people started saying, oh, these are starting to get collectible, I'm going to start buying them up in anticipation of the fact that they're going to be harder to find or more expensive, that sort of thing. Then because of that, you have people who I've seen referenced to online as general junk peddlers, who, you know who these people are. And they hear, like, they're at a flea market one day, you know, selling 8-track tapes to some guy with a ponytail. And then they're like, oh, do you hear those old Apple computers are exciting now? And then they're like, oh, really? Yeah, I know a guy with a few of those. And then you start seeing some guy who, A, has never used the machine, B, never opened it, C, has no idea what it's even called, who's got, like, you know, some piece of junk like the 6100 that I'm fixing with like a $1,400 price tag on it. And then people walk by and they're like, whoa, old Macs are worth $1,400. And then you have this like this critical mass of people getting the wrong idea. You know what I mean?
It's a snowball effect.
And it's
Exactly.
and Patrick even mentioned it. It's people like Mr. Polka Dots that cause that problem.
Yeah, and I'm ahead on the curve on this because I have a basement full of X-Serves, G4s, like 20 Mac Studios on order. So I'm collecting them all now.
Collect all the G5 iMacs, all the 1.8 gigahertz G5 iMacs. Got to get all
when
those.
I retire, it's like, hey, rent.
Here's my investment advice to people: is buy them brand new when the sticker price is really up there, and then just wait. Yeah,
there is half of what you paid for it, right?
There is a thing that basically happens with computers when you buy them, and obviously you buy them when you very first get them, and they are they start off at the original price tag, and then that price starts to go down because naturally happens. Faster computers come out. This one is slower, so it's not worth as much. So you then see that value go down. Exactly. And then you reach a point where it hits rock bottom. And the rock bottom point is at a time where the computer is no longer useful. I'm putting that in inverted commas because we, of course, are very good at discussing how useful an old computer is. But let's just say for the moment, the computer is no longer useful. But it's not old enough to really get that nostalgia thing going on. And the sorts of things I'm thinking about at the moment are things like the white MacBooks, like the old, like 2006 or whatever model.
Yeah, when they were new.
Yeah. So these things, they're an Intel chip. So they, you can't run the latest browser on them. There's a limit to what
Core Duo laptop,
Exactly. Or even just Intel. It was the Core Duo. There was the one before that, but anyhow. But the oh no, that's right. I'm sorry. It was Core Duo and then Core 2 Duo. Yeah. So that those sorts of things end up happening. But there's also another really important factor that gets mixed into this as well. And you've got to remember that this isn't something that's been cyclic. This is something that is happening for the first time. So in my generation, computers were coming in. Yes, people were working with computers long before then, but they were becoming public. They were becoming cheap enough for people to buy and have in their homes during that time. So I, as a child, sort of grew up with like an old 80s microcomputer in my house, programming on it. As a little kid, playing games on it. I went from this old to went to an Apple II and had an Apple II for many years. And so for me, I have had this I have this feeling of nostalgia associated with these old computers. And what's more, I am now in an age bracket where people like us often have disposable cash. And so we get into these old hobbies and then end up spending money on stupid stuff like this. And so I sort of feel like that, you know, what will happen with the next generation? Will the next generation be interested in a computer from the 1980s? I don't know. I'm not really sure. But at this particular point in time, there are people that grew up with those computers, played games on those computers, perhaps learned to program on those computers, and they are seeking the nostalgia. So that's something that I think definitely contributes to this. And I mean, some of the ridiculous prices that I've seen things like mirror drive door Macs go for, like, you know, sort of like $600-700, something like that. I've seen Mac Classics.
Australia.
Yeah, and I've seen Mac Classics go for like $500 that are working, this sort of thing. It's silly. Now, admittedly, I would never pay that ever.
Well, didn't you just sell one for pretty good price?
I sold an SE30 for about $700. So
Selling is different. Okay.
Yeah, selling
Yeah.
Well,
You know when they used to load an old wooden ship with like tea and they drive it to another country to sell it? That's what we got to do. Is we got to load classic Macs in a boat and go straight to Australia.
Yeah.
And then the market.
I mean, it's you've also got to remember that there are groups of people who are feeling this sort of nostalgia, and they aren't necessarily part of any of these vintage groups and stuff like that. So what they gauge for pricing is sold items on eBay, or even just selling price tags on eBay, which of course is a stupid thing to do. But even if you go back and look at sold items on eBay in Australia, you'll see some ridiculous prices. And so a lot of people are looking at those and going, oh, that's what I expect to spend. If you're part of more of a community, like on Facebook or on a forum or something like that, there are people out there that can often set you straight on what you should be expecting to pay for it, and say, look, okay, yeah, that one's on eBay for this price and it may well sell. Wait, just hold out. You will get an opportunity to get one at a better price. Or if you're after something and you get onto one of those groups, you just put up your hand and say, hey, I'm after one of these. And you may find one of the collectors has got 2 or 3 of them. And he goes, you know what? You can have this one here. I'll sell it to you for X dollars. It's probably going to be a third or half of what people are selling them for on eBay, because collectors a lot of the time aren't interested in ripping people off. My SE30 that I sold on eBay, that was kind of mainly as an experiment. I wanted to see what price it would get, and what's more, I also paid too much for it in the start, so I needed to recoup that money. So
what was I gonna
So
say
after that fountain of information, people should
Smash that like button.
Yes, they should.
always.
Sorry, Dan, what were you going to say?
Oh, you know what? I can't recall now because I typed something into the chat
All right,
to Don.
Dana, go.
It's interesting to note that that this whole vintage computer craze kind of started with Apple computers, Mac computers, especially after Steve Jobs died, because there was kind of I noticed that there was an instant surge in the market for people to buy, old computers that were made when Steve Jobs was, not necessarily the iMac G3s, but the old 90s, early 90s stuff. And even earlier than that. So,
Which is funny because a lot of those machines were made when he was not at the company.
right,
Yeah.
right.
He was well gone by then.
yeah. And then speaking of the iMac G3,
It's Bondi.
Oh, okay. I remember what I was going to say. So I was going to add a little note to eBay Sold. So eBay Sold, for a long time, you had to have an account to see that information. You had to log in to view what stuff actually sold for. And now you don't. And I've noticed that it's been that way long enough that there is manipulation that's starting to happen. So I think if you're going to look at eBay Sold prices, ignore maybe the first 3, depending on how many results there are. And then look at what the true average is. Don't look at the highs. Don't look at the lows. Look at the true averages. And another really important thing to do is sort by date. If you're looking at eBay Sold and you have things that are that were really hot in January, they might not be hot anymore, right? So make sure you're not going in there thinking, oh yeah, this is a $500 auction all day long, and it turns out prices have come down on that thing. So Just take it all with a grain of salt. Apply a critical eye, and try and get a realistic guess going.
Yeah, because you might have some loony like me who would pay a big stack of cash if he had it for a Quadra 840 AV. But once that loony has had the thing and they no longer want it, there's maybe no other person in the world who's stupid enough to pay that kind of money.
That's the whole thing, isn't it? An auction is driven by multiple determined buyers.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you have an auction where there's one person who has no cap. He just keeps bidding higher and higher. He gets that thing. He's not there at the next auction.
Mm-hmm.
So that thing may not go anywhere near as high as it did the first time around. So
well, another thing to think about with this vintage market too is like, if you think about the utility of these old machines, they're good for doing things within their own ecosystems, right? Like, you're not going to buy a beige Mac and put a modern operating system on it and be like, isn't it cool? It's slow, but it works. Like
Sean will.
Things like this have happened.
Sean.
Maybe Linux, but things like this happen in the car market too. Like, you think about old Model Ts and crap. Like, I don't know a single person who's restoring a Model T anymore. Like, there's people who hot rod them or cut them up and put cool stuff in them. But the driving experience is so far removed from what modern people know that a lot of people just aren't willing to learn it. So I kind of wonder if the beige Mac experience might be a little bit like the Model T, where us as enthusiasts enjoy it, but young people will be like, I don't know, man, like, that's just, I'm not going to bother learning.
I can't watch my YouTubes on it. So
and then will prices go down again, right? Like,
I have seen some young people that have got into it, but they seem to be getting into it more as like an investment rather than the nostalgic side. Mm-hmm. They're not necessarily going to pull out an old Mac and fire up an old game and play it for the day or something like that, and then sort of put it away again. They're buying it because they're seeing, they might have an interest in it. They might be curious about it, but they're not. They're not going to have that same level of kind of like nostalgia that's like someone that I will have, where I will sit down and I'll go in and enjoy an experience that I enjoyed, sort of when I was a younger person, like I have been doing lately, because I've got one of these Bondi Blue G3s in here, and I've been playing some old games on it that I used to play when I was younger, and it's great fun.
Did he just say Bondi again?
Yeah, I sure did.
I'm with you. Producer.
One of the examples of an investment Mac is the TAM. 2 years ago, you couldn't find them anywhere, you couldn't get them anywhere. And now they're on eBay or Marketplace for weeks and not selling,
what are going crazy are
prices.
leases.
Yeah.
Leases are going nuts. Like, absolutely
nuts. There's the original Lisa one, which has it was the Twiggy hard drive, the 5.25-inch hard drive. If you were out to get one of those at the moment, you could probably expect to pay $20,000-$30,000 for one of those. The Lisa 2, no, it varies in the world, but if you are talking about a working one here in Australia, you'd probably be paying north of $5,000. If you've got one that is complete but not working, you're probably looking at about $3,000, I'd say, for a Lisa out here. Now, that's actually a really important thing, is that whether someone is getting nostalgic about a particular computer, there is also a historical component. Now, when we look at something like an LC630, okay, if you want to play old games on an 040, they're great, they're cheap, they're rubbish. They weren't one of Apple's great computers. You just buy one to play the old games, and you're not going to pay a whole lot for the hardware. But if you are someone who is interested in the historical aspect of personal computers, the sorts of things are great to have are things like a Lisa, things like the original 128K Macintosh, things like an old Altair, something like that. These things that were
very expensive too.
Yeah, that's right. They were instrumental in the personal computer history. And same with the Apple II or IIe. They're going for an absolute bomb at the moment. And that's, again, it's because they have a very, very important part to play in computer history. I mean, even if you end up having one as an ornament in an office or something like that, when people come in and see an old compact Mac, even people who don't know Macs will often comment on it because it's such a well-known design.
That's why I have an Xserve 8 as my mailbox.
Well, I think also, if you look at
nostalgia is, I tried firing up a G3 blue and white for nostalgia, and Napster doesn't exist anymore. LimeWire is completely different. But stuff like Unreal Tournament, one of my all-time favorite games, I can play on Monterey. They ported it; it works. People that are only in it for the System 7 or 8 experience can now fire up a browser emulator. That kind of stuff affects how desirable this hardware is as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But I will
miss
say
Napster,
that,
though.
you know, before I started really getting a big collection of Macs happening, I used to fire up emulators and use them and play games and stuff like that. It's good, but it ain't the same.
But it's getting better.
Yeah. It's, you know, if it's all you have and you don't have the space or money to collect old computers, then sure. But there is something pretty special about, you know, sitting down in front of an old vintage computer, the sounds, you know, if you're using an old CRT even, you know, I mean, it's yeah, that's right. That the Degauss sound as you switch it on.
And the smell of the dust burning off of it.
Yeah.
And the ozone filling your
One
home.
of the things I think that actually does attract collectors too, and this is for me myself personal, is, you know, I got some TI 99 4As, and I just love the way that they're built and the way they look. You know, like we were saying, a lot of Apple products were built because they look great.
They have a rule of cool.
And you look at a PC back in the day, it was just basically a box.
Man, look at a PC today.
Yeah, it's the same
It's
thing.
just a mystery machine, right?
Well, now it's pretty much all how much RGB can I shove in there, and
It's like two kids in a tall jacket. You know, you have no idea that it's not really a man in there.
Yeah.
But hardware and design certainly plays a part.
Yes,
That's why I got a basement full of stuff I'll probably never use again. But
G4 iMac, you know, people look at that and they play with the neck for a bit and they're like, holy shit, this is really well built. Like, you know, this is
I actually have one
balanced
on my
properly.
shelf up here. I like the design of it. You know.
That was a really innovative design and still is today. I mean, you can still look at those computers today and enjoy them. And I mean, how convenient was it to be able to move the screen so much? I mean, when you look at today, the Apple's latest monitor they brought out, the Studio Display or whatever it's called, that it tilts. That's it.
Yeah.
All it does, you can pay for an extra one that'll make it go up and down as well.
Of course.
But I mean, that old sort of G4 iMac, I mean, you sort of a fantastic piece of design and actually an incredibly ergonomic computer as well. So that's absolutely fantastic.
once in a while, I haven't connected it in well over 4 years, but I just walk over to my G4 Cube, pop the little handle, lift it up. Ooh,
Have a look. Yeah.
just for no good reason. This is so awesome.
Well, fellas, you know what? I hate to say it, but I think I gotta hit the road. But it has been a blast.
All right, Dan.
It
Appreciate
has
you
been.
being with us
We will
today.
of course be expecting more of a commitment from you next time. So
Absolutely. Yeah. And I'll even bring the nudity next time.
Dan will be hosting the next Snack Yak by himself.
Now, for your
Next Thursday.
soldering adventures this weekend, can we expect at least an Ethernet cable run through the living room so we can, and
So it
torrents
doesn't
to be shut off?
I'm actually, the only reason this is working is because I tethered data to this iMac. But yeah, I'm gonna have to call my ISP and find out. I pay $90 a month for pretty high end internet, and it seems like every time I live stream, it's just garbage. Like,
You need a
Okay,
cable.
We're gonna start calling you
Right
Grudy
back.
too.
right
You
back to
just-
dial up.
You just need a cable, Dan. That's all.
No,
you
on the
need.
desktop, it is a cabled connection. Like
Oh,
on the
okay.
one that I use for the big streams, yeah, it's plugged right in there, but
Well,
it's terrible.
you'll be doing it with this software here, so we'll just be able to jump on. I'll take it.
Perfect. Yeah, we're going to be doing it the same way. So everyone, check it out. Steve and Bruce will be joining me 7 p.m. Central Standard Time on
That's 8
Saturday.
p.m. Eastern for all you other people that don't.
What
know.
time is it, Eastern?
8.
8. Okay,
And
cool. So
what time is it
it's
in Australia?
10 a.m. for me.
10 a.m. Thank you, Bruce, for being so dedicated.
Thanks for hanging out, dude.
All right.
Yeah.
Thanks a
See
lot.
you, folks.
We'll see
Nice,
you next
thanks for
time.
having me.
See ya.
Be sure
All
to
right,
subscribe
guys.
to Dan's channel so you can
So
check
I-
it out.
I just very quickly want to just jump in and say something on that last topic before we just wrap it
No,
up.
no,
It'll
no.
only
I
take
was
a
going to
moment.
go yet.
Okay, cool. I thought you were going to wrap it up.
No,
So-
no.
Yeah, cool. So I had a little chat with someone, just recently who he actually noticed the 3D printer behind me, and I was telling him that I used to do it. I use it for mainly printing out brackets and stuff for vintage computers. And we got into this long vintage computer conversation. He said, "I've got a bunch of old Macs at my place. Would you be interested?" I said, "Well, look, send me photos, because old Macs is pretty broad. I don't know what we're talking about here. It could just be, like a 2017 iMac for all I know, and which of course I have zero interest in. But he was saying, "Oh, and I've also got this old Pentium PC in a grey box," and that. And I sort of said, "There's no value in them, that when we're talking about the collectible computers, they need to be ones with a brand name. When you're talking about the grey box PCs, they are they're less than worthless, because you probably have to pay someone to get rid of them."
I would disagree with you on that, because the original PC, which was made by IBM,
And he said,
What did I just say? With a brand name on it.
but the ones done by IBM are very collectible, because I've been in a couple of groups where they actually.
I know that. I just said.
Where's the mute button for GT? There we go.
And there's also, you never know what's collectible. Like when I emptied out this shed, I got a few Spark Station somethings. And like, hey, well, I'll grab them, because maybe Mike wants them. Mike will take anything. He didn't care, so I put him on. I think it was Tinker Different. I posted on Tinker Different, and the messages I got. Wow, there's a collector out there for anything. You just need to know. Be a little bit familiar in
So Bruce, what do they have?
Well,
I don't know yet. I said to him, take some photos and send them to me. He did actually say, he said, I've got one of those aluminium iMacs as well, but I've got stuff that's older than that. So I don't know what it is. He's going to send me some photos, and when I have the photos, I will be sure to send them to you guys.
It's going to be a trailer for the Emacs.
Yeah,
well, it could well be Emacs. We'll see, or it could just be the G3 bubbles. I like them, but I don't have room to keep them. So,
Well, Jason mentioned something. It was I think it's a little relevant to this as far as collectors and stuff. Is the internet has actually changed how collectors get a hold of stuff like that nowadays, because now, remember before, you had to pretty much look in a newspaper or something like that, before the internet. We're talking about before the internet, and try to find this stuff. Now you can find it on Facebook Marketplace, you can find it on Craigslist, you can find it on eBay, pretty much anywhere. And you have groups out there that actually can help you when you find this stuff and collect it,
It used to be user groups, and they would like physically meet together.
Exactly. Yep.
Those were awesome.
Macintosh users group in like most major cities. There's probably some still around, but most of the people that started those are probably in their 60s and 70s now. But at flea markets, I saw a lot of stuff at flea markets before there was an internet.
Hamfest is a good one too. That's where I get I got my iMac G4 from a Hamfest. So
I think
that was. Oh, sorry, Dana. Please go on.
I was just going to say I had to be kind of dragged kicking and screaming into the modern collector's market, because for the longest time, I've been basically collecting them. Not only ones that I've had and then upgraded from. I keep all the old ones. There's only one that I've ever sold. That was a 2008 MacBook Pro, because I hated it so much. But so for the longest time for me, it was those swap meet prices and trading, and hey, I've got this and I just don't want it. You want it for free? Sure. And nowadays, computers that you couldn't give away, like little Performas and stuff back in the 90s, early aughts, so after they were obsolete, you couldn't give them away, and so they'd go to the dumpster. I bought a Performa 6400 for $10.
And whether you're new at this, or like Steve, you got a basement full of things, you've been doing this forever, or you're new at this, one thing to keep in mind: once the community or your friends or people you hang out with convince you to bring home an Xserve, it is game over. It is game over. Everyone here right now has an Xserve. That is the end of it.
I have two.
All this time, I don't have an Xserve. I have an Xserve Raid. That's all I
Same
have.
thing. Same thing.
I wonder if I
Again,
can turn one of them
he's
into a
not
letterbox for large flat mail.
So just keep that in mind. You go into this saying, "Oh, I'm not going to spend more than $100 a year on my collection." Once you bring home an Xserve, all bets are off.
Bruce, I have an idea for your Xserve. That doesn't work.
Yes.
Ultrasonic cleaner.
It's been in it, so
No.
No, turn it into one.
Turn
I'll
it
turn it
into
into an
one.
ultrasonic.
It's a perfect
is-
shape of a big
That's a
box.
big flat ultrasonic cleaner. That is.
No, but you got the for smaller parts, you could take out one of the sleds,
Yeah.
put the stuff in there.
How many transducers would you have to put on there to?
That's a good question there to make it effective. Yeah.
Wouldn't they be too close to whatever it is you're trying to
That's fine.
Probably.
Oh, there's a chip floating by.
You don't need that
dear.
one.
The
I mean-
funny thing about the Xserve is that if you have a vintage computer collection and you have computers that you like to get out once in a while and play around with and stuff, instead of like, and this is what Jay did with mine. He helped me a lot when I got mine just on a whim. And he was like, "Hey, why don't you make that into a NetBoot server, and it will install an operating system onto just about anything except maybe some of the old base stuff." But yeah,
Yeah, I need you to clone that drive for me, please.
I'll try. Hopefully, crap out on me again. But
Jay, you need to
Yeah.
make a good video of how to do a NetBoot
Dude,
because
the list of video ideas and stuff that I said I was going to do is
Yep.
so long, I would have to rotate my screen to fit it all on there.
And you're going to do that cache one as well, aren't you, Joe?
The what?
Soon. The cache server thing.
No, that's not going to be a video.
Yeah, do that. I need you to do that because you gave me an explanation which was not enough for my pea brain. So I need something more. I need pictures. I need descriptions. So
But Jay could write it up and put it on his blog, and
video
Yeah.
would be better.
actually,
Bruce has
to be
been
honest with you,
spoiled.
I'd rather have something written instructions because
Me too.
videos, when I do something like that shows how to do it on video, I'm sitting there pause and I go and do
Yeah,
it and
see,
I gotta
you-
wait. And
Well,
then
it
I
doesn't work like that with Jay's videos, though. See, Jay's videos have got the perfect pace that
Yeah.
you can actually keep up with them as he goes.
'Cause he's
Fantastic.
doing it while you're doing it.
Yeah. And also, completely off topic for a second. How many people actually fall for this thing where you watch a video and you're like, "Ooh, I wonder what's in this box. Let me know in the comments." Do people actually pause the video, type the answer, and then keep watching to see if they were right? Does that
Yeah.
happen?
Yes.
it's like you either already know because of the thumbnail, or you can just skip to the end and find out for yourself. So why would I?
or you see the comments already telling you what it is.
Is that directed at me, Jay? Come on.
It's the stupid
No, did you do that?
discussion.
And I did a similar thing with the iMac. I'm like, oh, is it Intel or G5? Let me know in the comments.
So, how many comments did you get?
A lot.
Really?
I don't know.
Engagement. Yay.
Oh, I think it's a. Oh, I was wrong.
Well, people have, there's this phenomenon where people will live comment as they're watching like a 15-minute video. So I will get the pings. I don't understand it either, but I'm just saying they do it. So I get the live pings on like my YouTube notification thing, like so-and-so commented again, so-and-so commented again. And then they'll go back and like delete the previous 3 comments or whatever. But it's like, oh, you should try doing, you did that. Oh, you should reset the period. Oh, I see you did that. It's like, guess what?
I like this idea.
It's they're treating the comments like it was a live chat.
Exactly. And it's like I'm not that slick. I can't do those edits in live format. This is
I get
this
that
is-
after I do a live stream and someone joins really late or something, or they were watching live but they paused and they continue several hours later. They say, "Hi, Jay," and it shows up as a comment several hours later.
It's nice though.
I don't, yeah,
It's not.
definitely. I love comments.
There we go. Who's our guest on Mac tonight? Let us know in the comments.
We'll wait.
Well, if
pause
they're,
now.
if they're reading it, if they're really
Find
smart
out.
and they look down there in that, the other corner, all the way in that corner, they'll see.
Yeah.
Well, that's why when I did the iMac video, the G4 one, I'm like, we have a mystery computer today to look at, and it had like a sheet over it, and I'm like, oh wait, you saw the thumbnail. I made a more silly thing out of it. Yeah. But I think with these vintage computers and the price of these things, I think also because people are seeing that there is this value with them or this desire to have them from a select group of individuals, they want to sort of get in on that, as we were saying before. And I think that, you know, there's a few groups of people. There's the recycler who will find this stuff for dirt cheap or free and wants to make a buck on it, and he wants to do that with anything, whether it be Apple or a tractor or whatever the heck he has. And then it comes to the enthusiasts where it's like, oh yeah, I like these things, I like to collect them, I like to play with them, I like to do whatever. And then you just come to someone who just, like, you know, does not care. All they do is see dollar signs, and they're gonna be the person that has the Mac SE for $500 on Facebook Marketplace for like 8 years in a row, and no one's ever gonna buy it. And yet when you message them, hey, can I take a look? Can I just come by and take? No, I need to sell it quick. I'm like, okay.
Was that the one with the melted case?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, remember that one with the melted case that was up, just kept on coming up and up and up and up over again?
Yeah.
And he was just asking something ridiculous for it.
Yeah. So, I mean, I did try and combat this a bit with that Apple Price Guide website, which I have to put more models on. But I think it's just, you know, this is going to fluctuate. A lot of these things, I think, are bursting at the moment because you are seeing a lot more people post these machines. And like Bruce is saying, those auctions just keep relisting because nobody's buying them. So I think some machines will always be popular and iconic, but, you know, not everyone's going to want a 6100. Not everyone's going to want, like, you know, a certain age of a PowerBook, you know, so.
Well, here's an example of one that's been sitting there for a couple of days, but I don't think it's going to go anytime soon. And it's in my area right here. It's an original Macintosh 128K in the box. He has the box and everything for it. He wants $800 for it. Yeah, that's why I'm like, you're probably not going to get that. So I have it in my saved items to see how low he's going to start bringing the price. You know,
I would say if it has the keyboard, has the mouse, has all the box with the manuals, with everything. If it has everything,
it does not have the manuals. It does have the styrofoam box for the keyboard.
I mean, if it really had everything,
actually, it does have the manuals. It has the original discs.
Yeah, so I would, like, a conservative estimate of that, somewhere between, depending on what someone wants to pay, between, I don't know, $350, $550 at like that range, depending on like how minty everything is. Because I mean, it's a 128K. I mean, yeah, it's the first one, but like, what are you gonna do with it?
Actual mint or Groody mint?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's the fluctuation there.
Here's the listing right here. Okay, so
that manual's been sat on by, you know.
It's
yellowed.
Needs some retro
look at the color.
Yeah, needs some retro brighting.
It's almost as brown as the box.
It's been basically sitting in a window somewhere that's been getting the sunlight coming in.
Is that a Lisa mouse, Bruce?
Yeah, that is a Lisa mouse.
That is a Lisa mouse.
That's probably worth more than the.
That's worth the $800. Take that off the screen and go buy that, and you'll make a mint on eBay.
So I mean, that working out here, that would sell for $800 all day long.
At least the mouse is worth it. Go buy the mouse for $20, GT. Tell me you'll trade them.
So that's a Lisa mouse, huh? Yeah, I noticed that. I was like, yeah, that doesn't match. Everything matches pretty much color-wise except for that.
Are there any pictures to see whether the screen has burn-in? I'm just curious.
No, that's the only picture with the. Yeah, that's the only picture with the actual screen on.
Is there any way? It's not. I mean, it's not. It hasn't been upgraded to a 512 inside. The only way you can know that is by generally looking at them inside. So.
Yeah.
What we're trying to tell you, GT, is go get it and let us know.
Okay, if somebody gives me $800, I'll go get it because
I'll donate $1 to the cause.
No, you make him an offer for $500, then you sell the mouse like Adam did in the chat for $600, and you make $100
buy it for you.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's some of my save stuff. But yeah.
Oh, look, VCRs. There you go. That's another. You know.
Well,
go to the Mac Plus or the Barnstormer, whatever the heck. Let's see that.
Hold on.
Whatever the what's.
Keep shopping on the show.
Just scroll down. I just want to see it. It's right there.
I'm pulling it up. Hold on. This one's actually in.
You have to click add again.
No, I know. But this one's actually an Apple Macintosh Vintage for sale or buy. Post your wish list.
The problem is the manual and the software. Somebody buy this lovely thing and archive the heck out of that manual, please. I've had so many people. Yeah, people are saying in the comments of that. You know, please, I want to archive the manual.
I'll swap you a Mac Studio.
Yeah.
What's
This one's in St. Charles, Illinois.
All right. So anyone watching this, go do your civic duty to the vintage Macintosh community. Get that thing and archive the heck out of the documentation there and the discs. Not currently working. Computer beeps
Yeah,
that
it's
display is garbled. Yeah, $100.
What is
Go-
brainstorm?
It was a accelerator thingamajig.
That,
Oh,
if that was
I'm curious.
in this
Did
country-
Well, it says after a few minutes, when the computer is warmed up, the display clears up and the computer works. So
Yeah.
I would buy that if that was available for $200 here in Sydney, in Australia. That would have lasted on there for about 30 seconds before someone bought it. So
it's
Oh,
actually
crazy.
been on here for a while, I think, because I think I added that to my saved a while back. I don't remember when I added that.
All you
So-
Beijos are weird.
that is actually would have originally been probably a 512K
Oh, November
or 128K
19th,
upgraded to a Mac Plus. So it'll have the it's got the front of the original, like probably 512K, and then the back it'll have the back of the Mac Plus. That's a good collectible item and definitely repairable. I mean, it's probably just cracked solder joints on the analog board. That's a quick fix. And the Brainstorm accelerator. I mean, that I'd spend $200 just for that.
I'm actually shocked this hasn't sold yet because it was listed November 19th, 2021.
Scroll back down. Ron left a comment.
Yeah, I'm messaging Ron right now, seeing if he ever heard
How
that.
long ago was that? 20 weeks ago. So I wonder whatever happened.
What was the reply? Where'd it go?
Yeah. What's
Oh,
the
yeah. Under Ron's comment, there's a reply.
Next one up.
Click on it.
Oh, sorry. Oh,
This is
Hey.
I sent you a direct message.
It
Ooh,
took 4
okay.
weeks or 2 weeks to get that, though.
18, two weeks difference. Yeah.
Interesting.
Somebody hasn't been checking their sale posts.
isn't that the worst when you find one of these deals and that someone like Bruce said is going to stumble upon this and it'll be gone in like 30 seconds, and they'll post a picture of the computer. They won't even bother turning it on, even if it has all the cables. And you're like, when can I pick it up? I will pick it up today. And they respond like 3 weeks later, going, "Oh yeah, I already sold it." What the heck?
Oh, I've actually, that's another pet peeve of mine is I actually had one that I was going to buy for, it was one that's not working, no mouse or no keyboard, but it was a 512K. And so they wanted $100 for it, and I offered a $75, and they said, okay, sure. And then I'm sitting there, okay, I could pick it up, in 2 days, not a problem, because I'm off that day. So then I messaged him the day before. I said, okay, where do you want me to meet you at? Oh, I got somebody that's going to buy it for the full price now for $100. I'm like,
Be careful with those stories because you're triggering Dana.
Yeah, I was about to say Dana's the worst affected by this.
Yeah, but it just irritated me. Then to all things, it set pending for like a week. So I kept it in my save folder. I kept going back. So then finally I messaged the person back. So is this still pending? If it's still pending, I will take it tomorrow. And this is after a week. And then all of a sudden it changed to sold. I'm like, yeah, okay.
Judging by the way that guy was taking forever to respond, he's probably already sold it and just never bothered to take the listing down.
Probably.
Yeah. That's 90% of the people you contact on Facebook.
Speaking of Blue Scuzzy,
pretty sought after.
Yeah, let's throw this back over to Bruce.
Hey. Okay. So Blue Scuzzy has had a recent firmware update. Anyone who has a Blue Scuzzy, it can be updated. Your Blue Scuzzy can be updated, but it does need to be done with one of these things, a little ST link. Now, this is the important update that has been made. The Blue Scuzzy will now be able to be updated via the USB port. So when you've got a blue pill, this is a blue pill here, a broken one, you've got 4 little pins here, and that allows you to connect it to one of these ST-Link programmer jibby jobbies, and then you can go in and using the right software, you can go in and update the firmware. Now, the downside to that is that every time if there's an update, you want to update your Blue SCSI, you need to have one of these to actually make that update happen. The latest update means that any blue pills bought after, Blue SCSIs bought after, I think it's the 4th of this month or something like that, or the 11th of this month, any that have been purchased after that date, you will have the latest version on there, and the latest version will allow you to update the firmware just via the USB plug. So you can plug these in, plug the blue pill into USB and update it that way. You do need to do it via the terminal, and you do need to have Homebrew installed. For people who aren't aware of it, Homebrew is kind of like a tool that allows you to install software really easily. Once the Homebrew framework is installed on your computer, installing things in the future is really easy. You just type brew and the name of the thing you want installed, and it does everything for you.
Don't tell
So
Jay that
Homebrew
he
is
doesn't like
actually
terminal.
Homebrew is a pretty handy thing to have on a Mac if you're willing to take the plunge. And then once you've got that installed, you can then use this little software that Eric has made available. You double click on it, it comes up in the terminal. You can select update a blue SCSI. It will communicate with the server, find the latest version of the firmware, you plug it in via USB, and then it will update the firmware on this. So the problem with it is it's kind of a catch-22 type situation. In order to install via the USB, the thing needs to have a USB bootloader on it. And the only way you get a USB bootloader on it is by using one of these programmers. So if you have an old one, it does need to be programmed in order to allow future USB style updates.
I'm so
But if
glad
you
I
are
got
buying-
7 of them when I did.
Yeah, well, you can, as I say, it can be done. It's not particularly difficult.
Do they come with the programmer?
No, they don't come with a programmer when you buy them. If you do want to get one of these, they're very cheap on eBay. So it's not a particularly difficult thing if you want to bring yours up to date. But for anyone who is buying any new ones from now on, you will get them so that they can just be updated via USB. You don't need to do anything else other than have Homebrew installed on your computer. You can just update them via the USB. So just letting people know that is a big change that has happened to the Blue SCSIs just in recent days. So anyone who's buying a new one, it will have that updated version that will allow you to update the firmware via USB from now on. So that's a really important update there. And again, just an indication that it is something that is still updating, still getting better, still improving. There have been lots of other little updates in that firmware as well, compatibility issues and stuff like that to make it work better with other computers. So that's a really good thing. Now, there is another announcement which I don't even think I'm allowed to make it, but I'm just going to mention it really, really quickly.
Make it anyway.
There is a new product about to enter the SCSI emulation market.
Don't make this one.
And
all right, go back and pause that, everybody.
It will be available literally within days. It is budget priced, and it is basically, from my initial testing, it is quite fast, and it is being sold at a budget price. Not as cheap as a Blue SCSI. Blue SCSI still has its place in the market. I'm not, it is not something that's going to take over the Blue SCSI market or anything like that. I mean, being able to get the Blue SCSI, build it yourself, pay whatever it is, $25-$30 or whatever to get the kit, and US dollars that is, and go in and do it. It's that is still going to be, for a lot of hobbyists, that's going to be the way they want to go. But this is something that has been brought to us by the SCSI to SD people. There have been a lot of problems with supply issues of the chip used on a SCSI to SD. It's this little guy here, that chip there, which is made by Cypress. It's a programmable system on a chip. They are absolutely unprocurable at the moment. So it makes it very difficult to then make these. So this is an alternative to the SCSI to SD. And as I say, I'll be doing a video on it when I know I'm definitely allowed to, but it is, it's looking like quite a good product. So
Anyone watching that is wondering where to get the latest on Flux that's not even out yet, or Scuzzy stuff that's not even out yet, or whatever it might be, you might want to subscribe to Brankus Creations because he has the scoop
He's on the
everything.
bleeding edge.
Yeah.
absolutely, yep, that's right. And if I can be bothered doing a video on something, I will.
Except
he lives in
ultrasonic
Tomorrow.
cleaners. He will say that he's going to do it, but he won't do it.
I tell you,
will
the 10 seconds I saw of that looks really great, Bruce.
Bruce,
it's a long weekend here. I've actually got 4 days off in a row, so I
What
might
the
even
heck
get a
you
chance.
doing here? Go to the thing.
You know what, Steve, you know this. Tuesday, and like, oh, yeah, well, I started hanging out on StreamYard, and then I did this, and then I watched that, and then, wine delivery, and now it's Tuesday, I got to work. So you know how it's going to go.
I do intend to put some time aside for the ultrasonic cleaner video this weekend because damn, I want to get that out. I'm telling you,
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to cop so much after spending a bit of time on the Lewis Rossman Discord chat. There are some of the biggest ultrasonic snobs in the world hanging out over there, and when I release this video, there is going to be so much backlash from people going, "Does it do sweeping frequencies?" I mean, it's like,
And neither
it's gonna
does
be-
yours, by the way.
So anyhow, that will be
bleeding
that'll be
edge, and then Gritty just bleeds on the edge.
fun. I'm just going to be there saying, "When I put stuff in it, it gets it clean." So
And you got to go, yeah!
that's
In
all I
Australian
care
accent.
about.
All right, guys. So that is about ready to wrap the show up tonight. So before we go, let me get back there. Before we go tonight, make sure that you do one thing and
Smash that like button.
yep, make sure you do that. Make sure you also hit that subscribe button and the bell icon. We do this now every other week. So next week we will not be on. Yeah, I did the right thing. See, Steve last week said we
I was laughing because you were going to go into the same rabbit hole I did.
no. We do this every other week, and that way you guys get the notifications. So make sure you do that. We also have a website. Yeah, there we go. Cat falling. So and Bruce is behind here. So, but we do have a website. Let me bring it up here. It's a
Sorry.
Mac-Yak.
I'm answering stuff in the chat.
Yeah. Go ahead, check it out. We haven't updated in a while, but we need to start probably updating that. I think, a
Yeah,
little bit.
well, Bruce has a long weekend, so he can get around.
There
to it.
you go. There you go, Bruce.
Yeah.
Also, we also have a Discord, so make sure you go and check us out there. It's pretty active. A lot of channels on there. We do put our show announcements in there as well. Also, the announcements of all of our different channels are on there as well. So go check it out.
And it hasn't been mentioned in a while, but it should be mentioned. On Discord, there is a Friends of Mac-Yak channel where other YouTube or content creators, when they release a video, it'll pop up there.
Mhm.
And it's most of the time a lot better than the individual stuff we create. So definitely check that out for really good videos.
Yeah. And if you are one of those people that are friends of Mac-Yak like that, let me know. Send me a DM in Discord and a link to your channel because I have to put it in the bot for it to
And a
automatically.
PayPal payment, of course.
Yeah, that way too. Yeah, you got to grease the palm there, So, anyways, also we do have another highly recommended site. It's for tech tips is Tinker Different, and a couple of the guys here are on the board of directors, I believe. One of them will be the top dog, I believe. Is the
President is an ass.
Don't point at me. I'm not on any board. So, anyways, go check that out. It's very good. A lot of good information there. And like Jay said, he posted something on there and basically got a lot of people wanting it right away. So it is starting to get a big following. I don't know. How big is it getting now, Bruce?
About that big. Yeah, I mean it was that big before, but it's like that now.
Okay. So it's slow growth, but it's
Yeah.
getting
It's doing very well. I mean it's well and truly meeting our expectations. It's
Especially as you get older.
yeah.
Now, GT, before you wrap up the show, I just uploaded a clip that's in video clips called Best Outro. I think you should end the show with that. And
Oh.
then roll over into the goodbye music.
Yes, we'll do that then. All right. So, guys, we'll see you guys in 2 weeks. Take care and see you later.
And so thanks again. I hope to see you with the next one. You know, and everything. Thanks again. And I shall see you soon. Bye now.